They call me a success story. They study the numbers, the columns in glossy magazines, the philanthropic donations with my name on them. They say I have the life everyone wants. But let me tell you something. They never print underneath my picture. Success can be stolen from you, sometimes by strangers, sometimes by weather, sometimes by lawyers, and sometimes by the man you brought into the world. This is not a tabloid confession. This is truth. This is my voice, raw and unfiltered, because I want the record to say it plainly. My son destroyed everything I built, not with a single blow, but with 1,000 small betrayals, mistakes, and choices that neither of us could take back. I came from nothing. I learned early that the world rewarded those who suffered in silence and worked in the dark. I built an empire by staying up longer than everyone else, by making deals at 3 a.m, by saying yes to risks when others said no. When my son was born, I promised him 2 things. I would give him opportunities I never had, and I would teach him how to be better than I was. I gave him schools, tutors, the best coaches, and a life that was supposed to be safety and silk. I hired men to protect him, teachers to shape him, advisors to guide him. I assumed that wealth could make up for my absence. I was wrong. Money can buy a private plane and a private surgeon. It cannot buy a conscience or the lessons learned in absence. It cannot make a boy into a man. He grew into a young man who believed the world owed him. When he wanted something, someone provided it. When he failed, someone else erased the consequence. That's the danger of living inside a bubble made of gold. At first it looked like youthful rebellion, cars at 20, parties, a reckless laugh. Then it turned into risk. He started to take the kind of bets I never would have allowed. Flashy ventures, fast money, people I had never met. He thought he could outsmart the markets because he had never known failure. What I couldn't see then, or refused to admit, was that privilege had hollowed him. He didn't know how to build. He only knew how to consume. He didn't know the weight of a sleepless night, worrying about salaries and factories. He didn't know the smell of the warehouse at dawn. So when he touched my business, he treated it like a toy. He pushed for a partnership with a startup that glittered with promises and influencers. I trusted his enthusiasm. I thought, maybe he's learning. I appointed him to a role he wasn't ready for, because I believed in him, and because I believed my structure could carry his mistakes. Within months, that startup was exposed as a shell. Contracts were forged. Money was diverted. When auditors came, they found gaps. Large, ugly gaps. We settled some claims quietly. We fired a few people. We blamed unfortunate choices and moved on. I thought it was contained. I was naive. But the first cracks are never the worst. They are just the sound that warns you the dam will break. The scandal leaked. Friends turned away. Board members whispered. The press smelled blood and circled. But the worst damage was at home. My wife, the woman who stood next to me when there was nothing, stopped looking at me like the man who could fix things. She began to look at me like the man who created the monster. Our son retreated into arrogance and then into excuses. He lashed out, then begged, then lied. The house that used to be our fortress became a courtroom. Accusations, silent treatments, doors slammed at midnight. My daughter, who used to find solace in our study, stopped coming into my office. She could no longer reconcile the father of the home with the father of headlines. There were nights I sat in my study and read the family messages I'd missed. Birthdays, school recitals, dinners. Each unopened message was a brick removed from the foundation of our marriage. It is simple arithmetic. Absence plus indulgence equals distance. Distance multiplies into resentment. Resentment becomes action. While I was dealing with family, he kept making moves. He trusted the wrong people, men who flattered him and then used him. One of them was a close associate who promised to scale fast. Behind our backs, that associate pocketed millions and created a separate network that siphoned revenue. When I finally found out, it was too late. A hostile shareholder motion appeared on my desk. Contracts had clauses I had never authorized. Our bank lines were frozen pending review. Our stock slipped. Our partners demanded answers I could not give. The man who had learned to move like a child had played with financial fire and handed matches to the enemy. Evaporated in boardroom minutes because the boy who thought the world owed him didn't respect the people who kept it running. There was a public trial of confidence. Investors pulled back. The public speculated. Regulators asked questions. We settled some suits and fought others. We paid fines. We restructured. We lost assets I had sworn would never be sold. Factories were closed. Men who had been loyal for decades lost their jobs. I could have stopped it sooner. I tell myself that at night. If I had been there more, if I had said no and meant it, if I had taught him the weight of the name he carried, perhaps. But regret is a useless currency. You cannot trade it for time or trust. My son wasn't punished the way the law sometimes punishes. He was punished by a different court. Shame, the loss of privilege, the slow, painful closing of doors. And yet none of that mends the men who lost their livelihoods, or the families whose breadwinners were affected. None of that fills the silences at home. I built walls of success to shelter my family. I failed to build bridges inside them. I thought wealth meant protection. I didn't anticipate it could be the weapon that wounds from within. The sociology of privilege is cruel. It isolates. It separates. It creates parallel worlds where empathy withers. If there is one lesson I wish someone had taught me, it is this. Raising a child is not outsourcing. You cannot buy character. Character is hammered in the small things, in responsibility for a missed bus fee, in the apology after breaking a neighbor's window, in the daily practice of keeping promises. When those small practices are replaced by cleaners, lawyers, and paychecks, you raise a person who expects the world to repair their mistakes. That is a dangerous, fragile soul. I also learned another painful lesson. Power attracts people who want something from you. And the more you give them, the more entitled your own blood can become. We confuse niceness with strength. We confuse money with wisdom. We tried to rebuild. We brought in new leadership. We apologized where we had to. We paid where we needed. We sold assets and closed divisions to stabilize what remained. I tried to repair my relationship with my son. I tried counseling, one-on-one conversations, quiet dinners. He would sit across from me and tell me he was changing. Then he would disappear again into the same patterns. There were moments of hope, a sincere apology, a week without scandal, and then a relapse. Healing is not a headline. It is a habit. And habits are hard to rewrite when they have been overwritten by a lifetime of entitlement. So here I am, telling you this not to make headlines, but to give a warning to anyone listening. Wealth without wisdom is a loaded gun. Teach your children how to be accountable before you teach them how to be comfortable. Teach them to earn respect, not expect it. Teach them how to live with absence. The small absences, the missed games, the missed dinners, by making sure absence never replaces attention. I still love my son. That hasn't changed. Love does not cancel consequences. Love does not erase harm. Love means I cannot pretend nothing happened. Love means I must be honest about the ruin so others can learn. If this story saves one job, one marriage, one childhood from the slow poison of indulgence, then these words are worth it. There are days I walk into the empty wings of the house and hear the echo of little feet. I look at the trophies and the framed photos and wonder what good they ever did if the people in them no longer speak. But there is also a small light I keep, a simple habit I began after the worst of it. Every night before sleep, I write one line to the people I love. Sometimes it is an apology. Sometimes it is a memory. Sometimes it is a thank you. That small act has become my anchor. If you are building something great, build also a life that can carry mistakes and raise children who understand the cost of breaking it. Because money can be replaced. Trust, once shattered, is not easily pieced back together. And sometimes, the one who destroys everything is the person you once did everything for. If this story moved you, share it. Talk to someone today who matters. Call your father. Call your child. Ask one honest question. Are we okay? Sometimes the best investments are not financial. They are the small conversations that keep a family whole. This was my confession. Learn from it.